Romans chapter 13 tells us that God has given us the right and the authority to do the job we do, but we must do the job as he prescribes. Romans says that the authorities are God's servants, and we must be servants. Will you become angry because someone interfered with your lunch break, or you had to take an extra report because someone's dog ran away? Is that the sign of servanthood? Is that using God's authority the way he wants us to? Matthew 5:9 says, "Blessed are the peacekeepers, for they will be called sons of God." Let me repeat that. Blessed are the peacekeepers, for they will be called the sons of God. You are the peacekeepers. You will be blessed if you do this job properly. Stay focused on your mission. Be the officer everyone remembers as the one who loved to serve others. Be the officer who understood what being a police officer really meant. Now, being a peace officer doesn't mean you'll be given a lot of appreciation or even a lot of respect. But being a police officer means being a peace officer, a peacekeeper, being a servant, being a positive person, being someone people will remember as a hero, a person of integrity, focus, faith, and a person of nobility. With this job comes responsibility and accountability like no other. Police officers are held at a higher standard than all others, and you are given a level of authority that can change a person's life, and you cannot take that responsibility lightly. When I attended the same academy in the early 90s, our country had just sustained the Rodney King incident and riots. Sure most of y'all were born then. Maybe not. I was new and did not understand what I was viewing when I watched this video. And in recent years, you probably viewed the footage of New Orleans police officers looting, and you heard the stories of hundreds leaving their post and abandoning the people they swore to protect during Hurricane Katrina. I hope that you find this disturbing and as saddening as me. Those acts do not reflect the behavior of a true public servant. Now, enough of that. I'm going to get off my soapbox for a little bit, and I'm going to kind of lighten the mood. Everybody in the back's falling asleep. I'd like to share a small story with you of my first night on the street. I remember showing up about an hour and a half early because I didn't want to miss a thing or be late. That's a hint to y'all, okay? Don't be late the first day. Excuse me just a minute. My uniform was pressed, my boots were shined, my name tag and badge were blinding, and my brand new cross pins were ready to write reports. So parents, I know there's a lot of you and grandparents that probably bought your graduate some cross pins. I'm fixing to give you a horror story about those. So you don't give them, take them back. I had requested one of the most aggressive North Side officers on the street as my field training officer. And the North Side was where everything happened. I was fortunate enough to train up on the North and make my basically work my entire patrol career up north. Now, as we headed northbound on Chadbourne, we passed a bar at 28th and Chadbourne. And I was sitting at the edge of my seat looking out every window, hoping to see a crime in progress. And the first thing I saw as we passed the bar was an older woman standing outside trying to wave us down and let us know that we were number one in her book by using sign language. Now, you can only imagine what I thought being a young, excited officer who was ready to save the world when the very first civilian I came in contact with wasn't excited about us being around. Needless to say, she was the very first person I arrested. Now, I arrested her asking her to put a cigarette out about 10 times so that I could get my handcuffs on her. My FTO, which would be your PTO, pulled me by the shirt and told me, when you tell someone they are under arrest now and not when they're finished with their cigarettes. So I learned something on that. We put her in the paddy wagon and began patrolling our district. All I could think about was how much fun I was having and what's going to happen next. And 5 minutes after this call, we initiated a traffic stop that turned into a pursuit and a fight. And I couldn't understand why someone would run from the police and then want to fight. After this fight, I found my shiny name tag laying on the ground and shaped like the letter L. My new cross pin was so dented I couldn't twist it open anymore. And my newly pressed uniform was now covered with mud, and I was pouring sweat and out of breath. Now, once we loaded him in the paddy wagon, all I could think about was how much fun I was having. I couldn't believe I was actually getting paid to do this stuff. Now, the very next call was a peeping Tom call on Velma Street. Needless to say, he too decided to run. After I caught up with him, I ordered him to the ground. And should I have expected anything else than him having him refuse my orders? And while being fresh out of the academy, I remembered, when all else fails, pull your gun out. So I did. And the next thing I heard was my training officer running by me yelling, "Put that thing away." When I saw my training officer not budge this guy after running into him at full speed, I knew we had a problem. We got him arrested and we took him to jail. And all of this happened in my first 3 hours on the street. The next 5 hours were spent writing these 3 reports. Now, I'm not going to promise you that every night on the streets in San Angelo is just like this. And really, it's quite not like this. But I knew that morning when I went to bed, I loved my job. And today, I can still say I love my job. I wanted to tell you about my first night to get you excited about what's out there waiting for you. But I also want to let you know there's so much more to being a police officer than just throwing bad guys in jail. The best officers, and we have many here, know that the gun, the badge, and the handcuffs are secondary to community spirit, community interaction, and community service. All of you chose this career because you wanted to make a difference, and none of you chose this career because of the money. When you go to your respective departments, remember this: your employers are the citizens of the city that you are sworn to protect and serve. You are here for them and not them here for you. Edmund Burke once said, "All it takes for evil to conquer is for good men to do nothing." All it takes for evil to conquer is for good men to do nothing. And you have made that choice today to do something. And if you do this job properly, there is nothing more noble you will ever do. In closing, I would like to address the graduates who are beginning their law enforcement careers with the San Angelo Police Department. You are joining our department at the perfect time, and you are being given the opportunity to join a group of men and women who, as a whole, have come together and are working to improve the quality of life in our community. Remember this question that I posed to you today. Remember this question that I posed to you today. How will you be remembered? When you leave this department 20-something years from now, how will you be remembered? Will you be remembered as an officer who has used discretion wisely and showed a compassionate heart, never treating others as you were better than them? Or will you be remembered as the officer who should have joined another profession? When you're out there trying to make a tough decision, ask yourself this question: am I doing the right thing at the right time for the right reason? I want to welcome you to a police department that has chosen to prevent crime instead of reacting to it, and to a police department that has been revitalized and is taking pride in doing that together. Welcome to law enforcement, welcome to our family, and welcome to our department. Congratulations and Godspeed.
Thank you very much, Chief, for those words. At this time, my third guest speaker tonight is Cadet Tabone.
Thank you all for coming. We, the 61st BPOC, would like to thank our families and friends for all the support that has been given to us. I know my family is no prouder than any of the other families who have packed into the Convention Center Hall to see their loved ones in the 61st class join the ranks. Some of us have had dreams of becoming police officers since we're little kids. Some of us are starting our second career. Even though our ages differ, our goal was clear. We all wanted to become law enforcement professionals. As a class, we've endured the 6-month academy program with its physical fitness training, the lovely runs around the KOA campground, defensive tactics training, firearms instructions, and hours of classroom work. We've had our differences and obstacles to overcome. Some of us have had family tragedies to contend with, and through it all, we've managed to show support for each other and learn a few lessons about respecting each other's space and needs.